Hi there folks. In this video we're going to have a look at this old Colt Police Positive Special revolver. And there's something a little bit unusual with this particular gun. You can see it is unloaded. I purchased this in the last couple of months from an online auction. And because I purchased it on an online auction, I didn't get a chance to examine it in person, of course. So you just have to rely on the description that you're given by the auction house. And this particular gun was listed as being in 38 Special. However, if we look closely at the barrel markings, we can see that it says Police Positive Special 38 NP or New Police cartridge. And the 38 New Police was Colt's designation for the 38 Smith & Wesson. They made a loading with a flat point bullet instead of a round nose bullet. And with that change in bullet, they called it a different cartridge because they didn't want to use Smith & Wesson on their revolvers. They didn't want to give Smith & Wesson that credit. So this being described in the auction as being a 38 Special, but the barrel showing 38 Colt New Police, I thought, well, maybe the auction house made an error, and I figured this was probably really a 38 Smith & Wesson or 38 Colt New Police cartridge. And believe it or not, I was actually looking for a solid frame gun in that caliber. Anyway, the auction went through and I managed to pick this up for a reasonable price. At least I think it's a reasonable price. It was $100 Canadian, which is about $75 US. And when I got it, the gun was, it matched the pictures, and it had a bit of rust on it, and there's obviously quite a bit of finish wear. And these rather large numbers scratched onto the frame in a couple of spots. I assume that's a rack number for either a police department or a security business. So as I got to cleaning it and getting the rust off it, I noticed something kind of odd about the chambers. So if we have a look inside here, if you look carefully, you can see that there's a shiny portion and then a bit of a dull area and then the end of the chamber, and that's the same for all these chambers. There's that shiny portion, the dull portion, and then the actual end of the chamber. So we've got some empty cases here. So the first one is this is a 38 Smith & Wesson case, and of course it fits in there nicely. However, we can also get a 38 Special case to go in, and it shouldn't go all the way in a gun with a 38 Smith & Wesson chambering because, of course, as you can see, there is a significant difference in the length of the two cartridges. So the rims are basically the same, excuse me, the same size. We have the major difference, like I said, being the length of the cases. However, there is another difference. I'll get the calipers out here, and the difference is the diameter of these cases. So if we measure the 38 Smith & Wesson and we measure it just above the rim, we'll get it right there above the rim, and we can see that this gives us 383 for this particular older Remington UMC case. And then we've got a 38 Special from a similar time frame. This is a Dominion case, and we'll measure it in the same spot, and we'll get right down above the rim, and that gives us 377. So you can see that there's a fairly decent sized difference in diameter for these two rounds. Now, initially, I thought that you could not get a 38 Smith & Wesson round to chamber in a 38 Special. However, the tolerance overlap between the two means that it may be possible to chamber one of these rounds in a 38 Special should the chamber on the 38 Special be sufficiently large. So sort of at the, the upper end of the tolerance spectrum. So what this particular revolver looks to be is a 38 Smith & Wesson revolver, which at some point in time had a 38 Special chamber reamer run into each of the chambers to lengthen them out so that you could get a 38 Special case into it. And that kind of leaves you with kind of odd looking brass, and I'll show you the results. This is a cartridge case which was fired in this particular revolver, and you can see right about there, you can see that little ring, and if we get the light off this just the right way, you can see that there's a bit of a bulged area in this cartridge case, and it corresponds pretty much with where the original 38 Smith & Wesson chamber would have ended. Now apparently this was a reasonably common conversion at one time. It would only work on revolvers that had a cylinder long enough for, to be able to accommodate a loaded 38 Special round. So some of the other revolvers out there, like the Colt Police Positive, has a cylinder that's a little bit shorter, so you need to have the Police Positive Special that's got the longer 38 Special length of cylinder on it for this conversion to have been done. So a bit of an odd thing. It's probably safe enough, because basically they made this pattern of gun in both chamberings, so it's plenty strong enough. The only thing is you get this rather odd looking bulge in your brass, and if you're a reloader like I am, this means when you resize the cases, if you full length size them, this is going to size these cases down quite a bit, and they're going to swell out every time you fire them, so brass life will probably be not so good in these. I may end up just taking a few boxes of brass and dedicating them to this particular revolver, and just sort of neck size it down to that junction there, and just try not to size this brass further back, and that'll keep the cases lasting a little longer. But if I do have to use a few cases up, I have quite a few 38 Special brass in reserve from many years of picking them up off the range, so I'm not really too hurting for brass. Anyway, just thought that was kind of an interesting little thing. The gun shoots reasonably well. Perhaps we'll get some range footage of it. Just thought you guys might find that to be slightly interesting and something to keep in mind if you're out there shopping for a second-hand 38 Smith & Wesson revolver like a Colt or a Smith & Wesson. You never know what you might find. You might get something like this. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll talk to you later.